here you had big, burly correctional guards sitting before a Senate committee talking about how they feared for their lives.
I felt nervous for my family. I didn't ask for protection, but I felt nervous for my family. You don't know if one of these people that were involved with that administration that day, if they're actual members of a gang, or if they're just an administrator that was compromised. You don't know if that person can tell somebody in a gang to take care of something for them on the outside, on the streets, like, harass somebody, kill somebody, or whatever. You don't know.
There's one other thing that I have to add. It's time for change in leadership. The New York Times best-selling book, Standing for Something, by Gordon B. Hinckley, was a gift to me from my wife, and I want to read a paragraph and share with you its power. It is not wise or even possible to divorce private behavior from public leadership, though there are those who have gone to great lengths to suggest that this is not only possible view, but that this is the only possible view of, quote, enlightened, end quote, individuals. They are wrong. They are deceived. By its very virtue, true leadership carries with it the burden of being an example. Mr. Hickman and the other leaders of this department, including Mr. Rimmer, who I took a complaint to, have not followed up and done their duty as peace officers. The only person in this agency that I trust is the woman that's mentioned in the suicide note from Captain Piper to his wife. He says, Yvette, the only two people you can trust are Roseanne Campbell and Max Lemon. I would like to finish. I implore Arnold Schwarzenegger to stand up and be a man of his campaign promise. He promised no special interest. And the greatest special interest to ever impact this state is the California Correctional Peace Officers Association. I am through. I would like to surrender these documents as promised. I would like to have these documents handed to representatives from the Attorney General.
Excuse me, for those in the hearing room, we're going to ask, this is a hearing, we're going to ask for no outbursts.
Very nice. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. When I became governor, I promised that I would change the way we do business in Sacramento. I've also said many times that there are many reforms that we need in this state. One of the most important reforms is our prison reform.
Every major news outlet in California covered the Senate hearings. Several months later, Governor Schwarzenegger made this visit to Mule Creek State Prison.
And we are also going to change the culture that allows the code of silence, which is not acceptable in my administration. Unfortunately, there are few who bring shame to this profession, as it is with every profession. But the fact is that the vast majority of the correctional officers are honorable people.
February 2004, the attention level on prisons was really high.
2 weeks after the Senate hearings, Governor Schwarzenegger issued a press release. It announced that he was requesting that the U.S. Attorney independently review the circumstances surrounding the April 2002 riot at Folsom State Prison.
I think that we can do the job. There's no two ways about it. Now, you have to understand this problem came about over a period of many years. It didn't happen overnight. And when I came into office, I became aware of it very quickly, that we have a serious problem in our prisons, and that there are some people in there that are not really operating in the right way. And that the trick is like in every profession and everything that we have here in the world, that you have to weed out the bad elements. And this is what we're trying to do. This is why I put a strong team together to surround myself, knowing that I alone cannot do it. Only with the best team, a team that doesn't owe anyone anything, that really wants to create changes, that are aggressive about it, and that believe also in the transparency of the system.
It became pretty clear that this press release the governor's office put out didn't really jive with what the U.S. Attorney's Office did.
The U.S. Attorney's review of the Folsom riot was limited to the lockdown of the Northern Hispanic inmates at Folsom following the riot.
So they weren't even investigating the riot. They were investigating the lockdown.
U.S. Attorney McGregor Scott defended his office's review.
Members of the governor's office and the U.S. Attorney's Office got together a day before the February 6, 2004 release to discuss, what the parameters of the investigation were going to be.
It was decided then that the scope of the review would be limited to the lockdown and not include the riot or alleged irregularities that followed.
It wasn't a real investigation. That was, one of the things that I thought was newsworthy, and I also thought it was newsworthy that the governor's office put out this press release that they were, suggesting that there was going to be this great attempt at reform when it had apparently been prearranged that all that they were going to look at was the aftermath of the situation and not anything that caused the situation.
Now I would like to ask my team to report on their action. First, I would like to have Secretary Hickman come out and say a few words. Please, Secretary. Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When you look at a value of rewarding people for coming forward, it takes some time for those values to be ingrained into the fabric of the organization. We're looking at a possibility of creating a specific award for people that are courageous enough to come forward in that environment. So it's an ongoing evolution of rewards, and as you change cultures, you have to also change what people are rewarded for. So we're moving forward and doing those kind of things on an ongoing basis.
Michael Bunnell has been reassigned to Mule Creek State Prison. Do you think that's a good idea, considering some people have suggested that he acted inappropriately at Folsom?
Well, I think they had to make an assignment. All employees have rights, and you have to investigate people. And the one thing about America is people are innocent until proven guilty. And as we went forward and did the investigation, if they found that Mr. Bunnell with something that was not warranted in regards to providing discipline, they had to provide him with an opportunity to continue his employment. And I think that's one of the things we have to do. And I think even though there are allegations that are made against people, I think as long as we thoroughly investigate them and we find whether those things are actually true or not, and in those cases where they're true, people are held accountable. In those cases where they're not found to be true or you can't substantiate what they say, then you have to make those people whole. And that's, it's part of the American way.
But he was also taped at a previous prison being very chummy with inmates, specifically known members of the Mexican mafia. Why would he be reassigned to a prison instead of a position where he would have no contact with inmates?
Well, I think that, and you look at both those cases, I think the litigation or the legal process that they went through did what it had to. And at that point in time, people have rights and you have to abide by them.
I am not at all convinced that the governor nor Mr. Hickman are doing the right thing. People's heads should roll. And when the rank and file see people rewarded for bad behavior, then there's a message being sent. Now, if in fact Mr. Bunnell has been cleared, there should be some public statement made, there should be some report filed, but none of those things have happened.
Here I am today in front of San Quentin Prison on special assignment for extended periods of time, working in another division of headquarters for the past 12, 13 months. And I'm still waiting to go back to my job.
So that's what you would like to do? You would like to go back to Folsom?
Yes. I think there are several issues that I have that I'm addressing through an appeal internally with the department. But I really believe that the intent of the law was to protect staff, even managers, if they identify issues and bring them forward. I don't believe that that's been done.
There's an officer that lost his home because he got hurt during the riot and workman's comp wasn't paying him. He lost his home, he had to sell his house. That's not right. That's just not fair. That's not the way things are supposed to work. And I've always believed, and I still do believe, the good comes around. The truth is going to come out.
The Piper family is suing the state of California and the Department of Corrections for the wrongful death of Captain Doug Piper. Max Lemon remains at the Department of Corrections headquarters, working in the Medical Services Division. Pat O'Day is suing the state of California, Michael Bunnell, and other Folsom staff for wrongful injury. Michael Bunnell is still working as an associate warden, this time at Mule Creek State Prison.